Boom, it's time. Now, me and Carson have realized something from last week, and we wanted to add on and bring it into this week's episode, right? Most brands are actually treating like organic content and the ads they run like in two completely separate worlds. There's no like cohesion. There's no like strategy of how do we take an organic ads, viral organic content into those successful ads. So in today's episode, me and Carson are going to go into the weeds, what we're seeing across the brands we work with and the frameworks that we're building internally. Carson, how are we doing, boss?
Dude, great to be back. I'm pumped for another week. The good ad fellas are here. I'm stoked. This is actually funny enough. Luke had brought this idea to me, and this is something that I've been very heavily focused on the last like week and a half, 2 weeks. So I'm pumped. I think this is a great episode to get started with.
No, and I think what's very clear to me now and what Meta is wanting is they're wanting kind of brands to do more testing in the organic and then take that across to paid. Because Meta don't want shit creatives on their platform that make people bounce on the platform, right? So you've got to look at organic very simply as your creative lab, and then paid becomes the amplification of that of that creative testing on the organic side.
I also want to preface this episode with a very important note, and I think this is a great way for us to start off. So when you talk about testing videos and statics and stuff on your organic, right? Obviously, you're not doing the same amount of volume there that you should be doing on your ad account, correct? But I think there's also a caveat to testing on organic and then taking to paid. Organic social does have the ability to flop posts for no good reason. Like, it does happen. People make good content all the time. It does nothing, right? That's why you have the 90-day rule. You repost content after 90 days and see if it does anything different, right? But when you're spending media dollars, you've got two things that can happen, right? You spend the money on it, on this creative, it does really well. You spend the money on another creative, it does really poorly. But you gave them each a fair shot. And I don't think organic, that's always the case. But the ability to test for free on organic and then take to paid is a very underutilized strategy that I see. And but luckily, like the clients we work with, that does happen. Like they do take that because they're bigger brands and kind of know this, but I still think there's a lot of other brands not doing it.
Well, I think the problem you have is, and I think companies are treating their Instagram pages like it's 2018. And it's like content moves so quickly now and trends are happening. And it's like, if you haven't got the kind of infrastructure to like essentially adapt to a trend that's happening, there is no point of chasing that wave. So I think what's really important is for people to understand now, and like I really bang on about this all the time, it's like definitely have the content pillars that you make, but be flexible in how you do the packaging. You've just got to really think to yourself, like, what story am I telling? I know everyone talks about storytelling, the importance of storytelling. What that actually means is tell a story where the pain points that you talk about in the story resonates with your customers. Like, you just got to make it clear that they are everything. No one cares about your brand at the beginning. It's very different when you get to a good scale. But at the beginning, no one cares. If you're in that like 0 to like 10K follower range on Instagram, like just be so conscious of like the story you tell and make it as broad and like aware to those types of audiences as much as possible. Like, don't try and talk about your product yet. Like, just talk about the problem you're solving and kind of why they need to know it's a problem.
Yeah. And to kind of get into how brands should go about organic and then moving into paid, I think it goes back to what you said about having your content pillars and really making organic that kind of sticks within those, right? So like if you were us on the agency side, you'd have 3 content pillars, you stick to those. And let's say you want to bring in clients via paid, you post on organic. If something does really well for you, you can move it to paid and do one of 2 things. You can keep it exactly as is. You could you could do 3 things. You could add a CTA where you film it separately to the video. But what I've seen work the best is you just add a 5-second clip of just an image and just an overlay. And it's just a CTA with the product. That's it. Or with the offer. And that's what I've seen work the best. So you could take the verbatim video from organic, put it into CapCut, put it into edits, whatever you use, put an image on there and slap some text, and it could very likely rip. Like we've done that with a couple ads for clients before, and it's had a massive effect on what's worked and what's not.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the algorithms. And again, I think, look, like if you're on Instagram, use edits. It's a really good platform to like not only create like the actual video itself, but to look at the data and have a way where you can essentially every week, I would say it's weekly actually with teams that I've seen, it's have those metrics that you're looking for, saves, shares, watch time, comments. Like be very in the weeds of knowing what's working and then double down on that. The content that I see doing really well, I mean, there are brands that are killing it right now. Like there's a company called I'm gonna get it wrong, but I think it's called Grillo's Pickles. And this company, right, they went completely viral off like a POV format where it's them going around New York giving like people free pickles, right? And it's engaging, but they just kept doing that over and over and over again. That type of content.
Yeah.
Like if you've got a
It's
winning
it's
format,
funny, like,
don't
if you find one thing that works, you can spin it 1,000 different ways.
agree.
It's a matter of just doubling down on that and doing different hook styles and testing different ways of the format and keeping, like, the structure the same, but just tweaking little things here and there to see what works,
Agree.
especially for video, like, it's a great way to do it.
Fully agree. I fully
I
agree.
I think the other thing to note with taking organic to paid, it doesn't always have to be that your video goes viral, quote unquote, right? Like we use the 3x rule. If it does 3x the views of the account,
Mm.
then it's worth doing, right? So that's what we'd consider viral. But also, something I personally look at is how much is this organic piece of content being shared? Because that tells me that people are interested in spreading it more and more and more and more.
Mm.
And that's even more distribution that you could ask for, right? So there's something about it. Like it might not go completely viral, but if it's got a lot of shares, in my opinion, that's a great metric to look at in order to determine if it's going to paid or not.
Fully agree. But I would also like to add as well, like in the history of the platform, no video has ever gone viral with like below 1,000 shares. Like
Yeah.
shares, like I think, in my opinion, again, you could debate this till the cows come home. But like realistically, I think shares are one of the most important metrics to look at. Shares and sales.
Yeah, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Because I've seen people copy
Because that's increasing your reach.
Precisely. And I think annoyingly, like you see, and again, this is really important as well to understand. Like you see, I mean, you probably see this as well, Carson. Companies they optimize for likes and views, and they go where are the sales, and it's well because that is it's a vanity metric sometimes, right?
And you know what? No, I don't mean to cut you off. You know what? The key to shares, everybody, the key to getting shares is relatability. That's why, like, when we make statics and video, we want them to be like evoke high emotion,
Mm.
evoke some value, but almost always just be relatable because you get both of those things with relatability. Like, relatability rules the entire world because relatability and relevance rule status.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I
Like
think
if you think about just status alone, right? You're like, oh, like that person has Louis V and a Lambo, like they're high status. It's like, well, if they go to another country that doesn't really care about Lambos and Louis Vuitton or doesn't know about them, they don't have status, right? Like you pull up to the Amazon with those things for an uncontacted tribe, they're gonna be like, who is this idiot? They don't care because it's not relevant to their life.
true.
Whereas it's like athletes and celebrities. If you're really into pop culture and movies, then obviously TV stars or movie stars are celebrities to you. They're high status. But if you're more into sports, athletes are higher status, right? So all of this relatability and relevance thing is massively important when it comes to producing content that's going to be viral and shareable and then be able to take it to ads. Like I know that was a little bit of a rant for everybody, but that's something just to think about and have in the back of your brain. That's knowledge that's very helpful.
Yeah. But I'd also argue as well, like, I think where people get a bit, I generally think any video that you put on Instagram or TikTok, you don't have to be like thinking it too much in like the ad format. You just have to what you can do is let it be, again, Oren says it very well, right? It's education or entertainment, right? So like if you're educating, like make sure you really give great value and that metric would be shares and saves. That you know that you're getting good value with people doing that, right? Also entertainment as well. But I just think what I'm trying to say is like you can make a content that bangs. You just add a very simple CTA at the last bit of the video, or even like just having like a text hook, like a little like block of text at the end of the video that says, "Oh, to see more, try this or whatever," right? Like that is such a simple way. And I think that's important to look at. So Carson, a question I have for you, right? When looking at kind of the scaling the variations, because that is a big problem for a lot of companies. They find that winning ad, right? how do you approach that with you? You found that winning concept, you found that like the angle that is doing really well, but how do you spin that 1,000 times? What's that like mental framework for you?
It's very dependent on the ad. So I'll give you an example. So we had an ad for a client like go mega viral, start printing a lot of orders, massive, like just what you want in an as an advertiser in an ad. Like great headline, great ad in general, like top to bottom, went viral on as an ad, lots of shares, lots of engagement, all this other stuff. People in the comments fighting over stuff. Some like controversial as well in a way, but not really because people just don't know how to read. So this particular ad, right? Like we realized just based on the ad, there was two things that worked really well. That was the formatting and the boldness of the claim. And so okay, we made variations two ways. We didn't change the format. We kept the format the same because the layout was very good and did really well. What we did change was the angle and the messaging. So like we changed the angle to instead of, or not the angle, I'm sorry. We changed the messaging and the headline just to match different things. So instead of saying 100 grams of protein in this thing, we said 8 times more protein than your regular version of this product. And then we said another version where you'd need 14 eggs to match the amount of protein in this. So we basically just took the bold claim of the headline and switched it into different ways to make it a little bit different in terms of
Yeah.
what we're going after here.
Yeah. No,
And each one of them with the same format has worked really well.
but it's the thing, it's like you can really squeeze the juice out of a lot of winners by just
Mhm.
really squeezing it. Like if it's worked as an ad, because it works as like a checklist for like a lead magnet, I think marketing, well, anyway, what is important to understand, and again, like most kind of influencers would agree with me, I believe, is like content is everywhere now. Like in the sense of it's in your landing pages, it's in your email, it's like it is such a through line in everything you do, and it's why companies like PayPal are spending 400,000 a year of people of heads of content because it's everything, right? I mean, look at that. Look at it, right? Creative strategy. It's one of like a creative strategist is one of the hardest roles to hire because it's like essentially how do you allow someone to curate taste, and to curate taste, you just got to test more. It's the only way, in my opinion. And I think I don't know. Like, I think brands just they're too worried and they haven't got the frameworks in place to actually do a very simple. What is the hypothesis? What is the post-mortem? Repeat.
So let me ask you a question because I've toggled with this in my head and I can't seem to land on what I believe the future and the right answer currently is. And there might not be a right answer, but do you think heads of paid and heads of organic should be not in the same department, but working in tandem as the same department?
I think if you're being really savvy and you're looking at kind of the teams that are winning now, that are beating the brands that've got big budgets, it's because I feel like the organic and paid team are so like essentially like in the net, like in this, not in the same room, but like can hear each other in different rooms. Where it's like, oh, we just found this ad, this like this organic piece of content is absolutely firing. Let's get that running as paid as quickly as possible. Let's actually take that ad, that organic piece of content, sorry, let's run that as an ad right now. Let's see what happens. Nice, okay. So we've got really high click through rate, but really bad like purchases. Why is our conversion rates tanking? Oh, the landing page is bad. Okay, cool. Like let's take the actual like hook of the video and put that as like the landing page, like above the fold thing. Like it's that constant like iteration of the messaging is really good, but the landing page is really bad. Okay, let's fix that. Oh, the ad is really bad, but the landing page is converting really well. Okay, fine. Okay, so it means that the traffic is costing us a lot of money. Thus, we need to make the ad resonate more. Like I think it's gonna be like these constant like back and forths. I think so
Mhm.
many companies don't allow that, especially when you have a company that's massive at scale. Like, how
'Cause
can you allow
yeah, 'cause
integration to occur? You know?
yeah, well, and like how I think it is currently mostly being performed versus how I think it should be and like want it to is I think it's different departments, different rooms when it should be different departments, same room. Like that's what I think moving forward think people will start to move to with their companies. And whether that's your organic team and your agency working together or your organic team, your paid team and your agency working together, but they're all doing different things just under the same kind of roof. Like that's how we work with most clients is usually same room as the content team. Sometimes that's different depending, but like I think it's very very smart, especially as you're a bigger company, you become a bigger company, to have those places under the same roof, but in different rooms,
Yeah.
right? Not different rooms, same room under one roof.
I think it's
Just
interesting, right?
different
I think
sizes, I guess.
because basically it's like the question you got to ask yourself as a brand is like if you look at organic, right, the attribution is completely fuzzy. Like it's very hard to build like a predictable organic machine because you're there's no like LTV to CAC measurements you can do really, unless you do like cost per asset and it's like you then work out, okay, cool. Let's say the CAC becomes the cost per asset or
Yeah.
how, like the sales
Well,
team.
that's what it would be too. If you're not using if you're not using any paid, it's pretty easy because all you have to do is analyze your overall cost to make your content and then determine, okay, this is our average AOV.
True, but then I think true, I see your point, but then I think you get to an interesting point where it's like, or the thing of the only issue with the reason why people love paid, right, is it's very clear, like, okay,
Yeah,
what net LTV,
concrete.
like, but you don't know because again, some ads flop and some ads like do really well, but like you fundamentally know, okay, cool, this is what my CPAs are. This is like what the cohort quality is coming through. Organic, like for example, if you look at videos that have done really well, you'll look at the back end and you'll see like it will skew to like maybe a country you're not targeting, right? Like, and this is the argument I hear a lot of people say. It's like, hey, I'm a plumber in London. I don't want my content being seen from people in Manchester. That doesn't make any sense to me. And it's like, no, no, no. The fact it's gone viral and it's resonated with everyone in the world or everyone in the UK or whatever, like if you run paid behind it, then it will have even more chance because you can then target it to the particular location of London.
Yeah. Well,
That's my
also, I heard somebody talk about this week, but the algorithms are designed to show you local content.
yes,
But
100%.
the other thing is too, and this doesn't apply as much to service-based businesses, more of like, I would say retail and food and beverage, like physical brick and mortar locations like that. But if you're a bar in, we'll just say Nashville for the sake of this, right? If you're a
Oh,
bar in, because if you're a bar in Nashville and you create content that goes viral, what do you think the people that come to Nashville as tourists are going to do? They're gonna go to your bar,
like,
It's like you can't, yes, it might not be measurable, but what did it actually cost you to make that video?
true, true.
Practically free if you just have employees filming content before or after or during work. It's like you're just paying the employee their hourly rate, but it's
Yeah, but like,
free. Like, why wouldn't you use it?
but it's interesting, right? It's like, I think, but the problem happens, right? And I've seen it happen. Where it's like you get tartaned by the content you make, it doesn't go viral or whatever, or it doesn't pop. There's many different things people say about when their content doesn't do well. But I think what's very clear to me is like I've seen, for example, right? I've seen content where you look at the retention, it's 75% plus after the 3 second hook. It's got a really lovely curve, right? And they get 5,000 views. But what's important is a lot of people just give up then. No, no, no. That basically means you have a winning visual plus format. Just keep iterating because you will go viral, right?
Yeah.
I think I would say to people, like, if you do a video, in my view, if you do 5 videos in a row of something like a similar visual hook and none of them hit 1,000 views, I usually just scrap it. Usually. That's how I've looked at it when I've scaled content. Uh, and that's what I've learned from yeah, that's kind of how I'd approach it. But a question I have for you now, Carson, would be why do you think taking organic content, putting paid behind it works from a psychology perspective? Like psychological reasons. Why do you think it works there?
For the most part, because organic is not looked at and developed
Mm,
as paid is, where you're going for a sale. You're going for, when you're like, whether we want to admit it or not, when we're on organic, we're going for virality. Through that, we're making content that's much better and up to par
mm,
because we don't care about, we're not focused on like, oh, we have to make sure we're selling people on X, Y, and Z. And they do have trade-offs because sometimes when you move an organic video to paid that did really well, there's a disconnect because you're not presenting the value as much. But if you do things correctly and you're making viral content but weaving in the value of your product or service in that, then it becomes much easier to make sure that it'll convert.
agreed. Agreed. And I think what's really clear in how I'm going to take this now towards kind of more you're taking the organic piece of content, right? You've ran it for a while and you've seen it's gone viral, then moved it to paid. I think the reason why that's becoming much more of a better loop is because what usually happens is you make content for an ad, right? And the problem that usually happens is you're like, oh, why is my ad not getting enough spend? Usually the problem is in the creative or the hook. right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it's like, I think the really good way to think about it, right, is you kind of go, look, like these are the questions I ask myself when I'm going through this process. It's like, okay, I've made it like, if I don't do the old way, this is like, so if you don't do the new way of going organic to paid, because that kind of counts as the first part. But if you're just doing like videos to make videos for paid, sometimes this is what will happen. You'll be like, okay, this is not getting enough spend. So that to me is like a creative or hook problem, as I was saying. And it's
Yeah.
like, cool, this ad's getting tons of spend, yippee, but there's no conversions, right? That is basically a landing page problem or an offer problem. Because sometimes you can have really good creative, really good landing page, but the offer is shit, right?
Or this is an addition to that,
Yeah.
or it's a top of funnel ad reaching very new customers that are unaware who just aren't ready to buy yet.
True. But then I would also argue if you're making unaware ads, problem aware ads, and the landing page you just sent them to is like a light CTA, like download this free sizing guide. Like there should be some conversion of it at least,
Yeah.
you know? Like, and I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. It's like they send, as you said very true, perfectly. Like some people are not in the buying behavior. So get their email somehow, somehow.
Yeah.
Like, for example, right? If you're a fashion brand, right? It's not really my expertise, but I would have a simple landing page where it'd be like, get the summer 2026 like fashion trend guide for shorts if you're a short brand. Because then at least you've got their email and you can try and upsell them in the email. Not upsell, sorry, you can try and sell them in the email. But like the biggest problem I think brands make is they pay for all this paid. Like they make the creative for paid. They don't make it for organic sense. They don't test it there. They then run it as an ad. It gets spend yippee, but the conversions are shit because the landing page is like there's a mismatch, right? I don't know. Like it's interesting, right? I think we're going to go into an interesting time in kind of this like feedback loop. I think the winners will be the ones that have really good testing grounds.
Also, I get that. So here's my thing, because I want to bring AI into the conversation for a second.
No.
I understand advertisers being so infatuated with AI video and AI UGC
Yeah.
and using it, but my issue comes from the organic side, because do you really think actual creators and businesses and brands are going anywhere in organic? Because I don't think there's going to be more of a demand for partnership UGC ads with real creators.
Yeah.
And maybe if AI gets super, super good, super fast, and we're able to crank these things out, we pay creators for their name, image, and likeness, and we make the ads ourselves and just run it on the pages. But I don't think organic is going anywhere with these people, because there's real people and stories behind this.
I think if you look at like I always think in my opinion, if you want to look at where the cutting edge is, look at like affiliate marketers. I mean, that's been like the proven test. Like the affiliate marketers are just
Yeah.
like the most dialed in fuckers you've ever met. Like they live and breathe by the creatives and the funnels they make. And what two trends I've noticed is again the AI, like it's the AI podcast, the AI VSL, the AI UGC. But I think what they do, and I think this is what I'd recommend, is they test on the AI UGC, they prototype with those influencers, and then they use that to then brief the actual real people, right? So I'll give you an example of how I do it, right? If a brand came to me and they were selling an like, I don't know, like a mushroom coffee brand, right? I'd make an Instagram account, I'd warm it up, I would then put like 20 different AI UGC influencers, different ethnicities, different like sizes, like all the different stuff, have them all say the same script. And then from that, I would then see which is the best, like what are the best two performing ads out of those 20. So I would take those two and then I'd actually brief creators and look as similar to them as possible. Because you then encountered the first problem of I've then briefed all these creators and like they haven't resonated, but at least with these two, they've resonated on what they look like because you've isolated the variables of what they look like, not the script. Because sometimes it may be the script and then you have to like iterate on that, if that makes sense. That's how I would
That's
do it.
interesting.
That's one of my approaches. So like you go visual, text, and then make like basically it's like you've optimized for the first 3 seconds and then everything else is like downstream. Like if you don't hook them, then there's no point. You can have the best video in the world, but if they don't go past the 3rd second mark, you're fucked. That's how you use AI. You prototype really quickly, then you bring the real person in. But then that's me being moral, but that's not what people like.
So you think it's the opposite of what I think.
Yeah. Like I would use AI. In my opinion, it's like what AI is really good at is it's fantastic for prototyping. Then you take it to a real person because then you counter the problem of people going, but you try and avoid having too much brand. Like you wouldn't do AI tests on your own main brand feed. That would just go disastrous. put it on a burner, test it to the audience. Like the Instagram will find your audience. That's what it's good at. That's how it works. Like it will find what resonates with what the audience it wants to target. But like, look at the Grooms, right? Look how they approach it. It's why I think they're like masters of what they do, because it's like they basically have the philosophy, I think, internally. It's like, we don't know what we don't know. Like, how can we essentially, what they've done is like statics. So they prototype with statics. If statics work, then they go to video. If video works, then they go to maybe landing page. If landing page works really well, there's full marketing campaign, out of home, like the full shebang. And I think, sorry, I'm going on a rant here, but this is
No,
what
no, I like it.
but it's like, what I think is really important now is, I think where it's going, you don't have to do the static as like, look, no, you do need to do the static, but like you can also do static prototyping. Then you can do like AI UGC prototyping, right? And you can essentially like save as much money as you can until you get to the landing page, and then you do the full campaign. Then you go full tilt. Then that's where I'm scaling up. That's why I'm doing thousands of statics. That's why I'm doing thousands of seeding and all that. But I think companies start too early, and then they're like, "Oh, our campaign's flopped."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's a good point.
But then, sorry, like, but then I look at your offer and what you're offering people, and I've always said, like, what I think is very clear to me is out of home is going to become more and more important, because people's like eyeballs are getting so in the digital week. Like, if you look at like the studies going on right now, like people are going off social media. Like, it's the first decline ever in growth on
Yeah.
the platforms. So people want out of home experiences. I think people need to do more.
Yeah.
I would.
I agree. And I think out of home is a very unique place to be right now, because there's so many different opportunities for you within it. You get physical impressions. You can do experiential out of home, which
Just
is
like that.
another bucket under the umbrella. You could do a social campaign. You can run it as ads. You can do a PR campaign. Like, there's a lot of opportunity in out of home right now. And I'm very bullish on it for all of those reasons, but also because it's the most human
Mm. Sorry.
but like across the board.
Yeah. Well,
I think like it'd be easy, obviously, to have AI put everything up on a billboard, but if people don't see that in real life, they're not going to care, right?
but I think it gets interesting, right? Because if you look at like what I'm really fascinated by is like I think Bloom, the Bloom Superfoods. Is it Bloom? Bloom. Like what I find really interesting with them, and I think what they've nailed, and like what I've got from them, well, not from them personally, I've not talked to them ever, but like what I've seen from podcasts that he's been on, and just like stuff on like Google and Instagram, and like people doing like, brand reactions to them, is that they're very good at like, how do we leverage the fact that we're very good organically and take it to physical retail locations? Like,
Yeah.
if you make a billboard, an out of home ad, get your influencers to make content outside the billboard, amplify it. Like, it's such a no brainer in my opinion. Like, if you've got an out of home ad, I would get all your influencers to make them go to that location, pay them to go there and make content.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a lot of opportunity for that right now on the organic social side in so many different ways. But I think
yeah.
another other thing I'm bullish on the organic side, this doesn't have to do with ads as much, but it does have to do with advertising your business, is filming these experiential in-person out of home events. Because there's a ton of brands doing it right now. They're at Expo West. They're putting on runs. They're putting on fitness classes. They're putting on pitch roasts and pitch competitions. They're putting on, obviously, like cocktail parties and all this other stuff. But that's what people want, is they want the in-person experience. I mean, there's no doubting that humans have lived for so long with social interaction, physical social interaction. Do you think you're going to unwrite the evolutionary psychology in a couple years? No, you won't be able to do it. And even if you did, we would recorrect ourselves in 2 seconds because we'd be so miserable. So that's why I'm very bullish on that. And I think that's like where we're moving into as well, because no matter what happens in the social space, in the paid social space, if we can still do that, we're good. We're golden.
Well, it's like, I think what's really clear to me is you need to have, like, the big thing when brands say like, oh, we have no content ideas, it's like, there is sometimes like the answer isn't just to put paid behind it. It's actually like use the money that you use to pay for that content, like to put pay behind it and actually make content moments. Like, go do an event, this
is a great segue into what I want to talk about next, which is coming up with ideas for organic that can be moved to paid.
Yeah. Good. It's a good point.
What first off, I want to know where your head's at with that. Like, what do you think are great ways to do this?
Well, look, I mean, I'm not the most qualified to say, but like, if you look at like what Alex Garcia says out of Sweat Equity. It's a great podcast. Definitely go listen to it. I mean, they are absolute killers too. And it's like they're all about brand shows, right? Building a show, building a repeatable format that people look and go, yes, I got it. Like the career ladder guide, right? That isn't a brand. Like that isn't like a company in the sense of a D2C brand. But when you see that ladder on organic, you immediately go, you know what the payoff is because you've seen previous videos, right?
Yeah.
So I'd be looking at building again, like what does actually building a brand show look like? It's building a repeatable format that you can make that you know that your audience will resonate with and want to engage in, right? So it could be, for example, if you're selling, I don't know, mushroom coffee brand, right? I don't know why I'm bullish on mushroom coffee brands, but let's do mushroom coffee, right?
Easy to talk about.
Maybe it's a good one. Maybe make a brand show where you go and look at your supply chain, right? If your consumers are quality nuts and they care about quality, make a show where you do like a 10-part 30-second clip show where you go to the farms, you go to you interview the farmers, you build them into the brand like lore, right? Like it may not pop straight away, but what you can do is when people do that sniff test, which everyone does when they see a brand, they do a sniff test, they go on Reddit, they go on YouTube, they do whatever, and you're there, they go, okay, cool, this is a real brand. And I think building brand shows are the best way to do that.
I agree. I think that's actually not even close to where I was going, but I think that's a phenomenal take.
What about you? Where's your head at on that? Not on my thing, but your thing.
I think if you want to talk about ideas and creating content for organic that you can move to paid easily, a lot of it's going to be in relatability through moments, situations, experiences, outcomes that your customer goes through. Like let's say we had let's see, I'm trying to think of a good brand we could use here for this, right? Let's say we were Cadence, right? Let's say we're Cadence, we sell electrolyte drinks and powders and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
What are things that our customers go through? What are moments? What are situations? What are experiences that they have? And how can we make kind of like you're saying, like a story around that or a skit around that?
Yeah.
You know, if you're like me and you're a runner and one of the things that you experience is the post run high, but then followed by a crazy crash because you're just so tired, you might be dehydrated, right? So like dig into that more. Like, what does that look like? Like, you know, you go for a 10-mile run with your buddies, you come back and you eat something. And then after that, you're like, oh, I'm so tired or my head hurts or all this other stuff. And you create like something around that that's relatable that people truly do feel and experience and move that into your organic. And if it does well, you just go and move into paid. You just add that CTA like we were talking about. But those are the things that you have to be looking at to be able to create great content around it. And this is where AI fails to come in and don't do the job correctly. It only thinks in black and white, and the money is made all in the gray in this industry. You can only exhaust black and white for so long.
But
You
the
really
Zark
can't.
wants to automate marketing by the end of 2026. He wants it to be from message to ad creative to landing page, maybe not offer, but that he wants to own. I wouldn't be shocked if Zuckerberg's big plan at the big ivory tower that he's in, and I can imagine being in a tower for some reason. He's like, you put your brand URL in, right? It creates the static ads, the video ads. It then creates the landing pages. It then creates not offer. There's no way going near that. But like he owns that part. And all you do every month is you pay him. And he just keeps the engine fueling. Look what they've done with the monthly payments. And now you can't he's now made it in April 2026. It cannot be credit card payments.
Yeah.
It has to be debit, I think, or just bank account things. He wants like very simple monthly billing. He wants low like credit card. He doesn't want credit card fees. He just wants to basically say, give me 100 grand every month and I'll do everything else for you. I don't think it'll work because as I'm finding, you find, right? And it's why as a company, our software, we don't go anywhere near production because it's so subjective. It's such a subjective.
I mean,
And you just don't want to play that game.
We don't even understand our own brains fully. How do you think a machine's going to be able to do the same things that we're able to do? Because to us, it seems like it comes out of thin air.
Yeah. Well, maybe maybe we'll just track you nonstop.
And listen, I am no technical genius, and we're getting off topic here, but I don't really care because I think this is important for people to know.
You come this
who
far,
might be scared of AI or who might love AI, either way. Personal belief right now. is because AI is ones and zeros. I don't see how it can think and create ideas that it cannot experience and that it does not know on an emotional level. I just don't see it. I don't see how it can replace creatives. I don't see how it can replace marketers and content creators and all this other stuff within this, what I would call the idea industry. I don't see it happening. Anything else with ones and zeros, coders, analysts, finance, all that stuff, 100% I think it can be gone because it all deals in ones and zeros in Excel spreadsheets, right? But I don't know if I want AI making calls for, it removes the human aspect of risk, but I don't know how much I would trust the machine.
I mean, I think it's a really difficult one, right? Because it's a really interesting concept, right? Because it's like how if we just keep, I don't know, like you often wonder, right? If you keep offloading more and more stuff to AI, right? Because there are things that AI is great for. Like there are you shouldn't have to scroll meta ad library every day. Like you should have a way where you can have all the different angles that your competitors going after in a simple spreadsheet where you can then analyze and go, okay, it's interesting. This company is looking at electrolytes in this way. What learnings can we take? Like that to me makes sense. But in the actual creative, I think you just need unreasonable thinking. And AI can't do unreasonable. No, it's reasoning. It won't do unreasonable thing. I think that's where innovation comes from.
Yeah, I think that's another great point. But
I just
that was an AI rant.
Yes. I think I think to finish off this episode, I would like to give a very simple tactical playbook that you could implement as a brand right now, tomorrow, right? What I would do, this is me, right? Day 2, right? I would look to try and post 3 to 5 organic videos per day. And before you go, oh my God, that's impossible, right? You can literally post right now. Don't do it on your brand account. Do it on a burner account, right? You could do burner or brand. If you're doing brand, make it a bit more polished. But you can do 5 organic videos per day. If you're starting out day 1 and you've got a team doing organic content, then you can do 5 a day. If you've got clear pillars defined, this is an education pillar, this is a entertainment pillar, this is a skit. If you map out the formats, then that's something you can scale, right? Then when you're doing that 3 to 5 a day, you want to be tracking for saves, watch time, and shares. Now, if you in a week do this, let's do Monday, Friday. Let's say your employees have Saturday, Sunday off because they should. Yeah. Let's say you do 5 videos a day, right? That's 25 videos. I would then look to promote the top 10% of those ads, of those organic posts, right? Because you will have some outliers in 25 posts. You will, right? When you take those, let's say those, you take the 3 best pieces of organic video. You then create variations of those winners and then you start posting them as ads. That to me is a simple way of looking at it, right? Do you agree? Or is there some slight deviation there? There's no harm if there is.
No, I don't see any problem with that, especially with the burner side, because if you really want to go test content and have more distribution, it's a good way to do it.
I just think people, I don't know, they just don't.
Every business is a media company now.
Yeah.
The more distribution, the better. AI can't give you the distribution part. You got to earn that.
Just distribute, just make more good content. And better content isn't better for some random audience that you're not trying to sell to. Better content is your audience that will purchase from you. Don't optimize for non-buyers. There's no point. Why? Yep. You have to admit the game you're playing to yourself. You're not making content because you want to be famous. You want to make content because it drives sales and drives a community. Don't, if you want to go famous, then play a different game. If you're in the e-com, you just want to drive content that drives sales. Or awareness, but awareness leads to sales. Depends on the CTA. You have a light CTA and you have a hard CTA, right? Before someone comments with a go me on that one. But yeah. I mean, look, unbelievable episode. 45 minutes.
That was great. Way to close this out, Luke.
I would say to close this one out, don't overthink it. I did that a lot in my beginnings a couple of months ago. I really tried to overcomplicate content, build something that's repeatable, scalable. Even if I would always say to people, even if you get 1,000 views in a video, you don't know who those 1,000 views are, because it could be 10 of your dream customers. It could be 10 of your VCs. It could be 10 dream. Just think, right? Vanity isn't always 100 million views. It could be 5,000 views. It could be 10,000 views. It's all about the TAM. You could have a big old TAM. I love a good TAM. Don't you?
Love a good TAM.
Mate, phenomenal episode. Right. It's peace from me. It's peace from Carson.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Everybody comment, subscribe if you enjoyed it. Send it to somebody you know if they think they'll like it. And we appreciate you watching. So we'll catch you next week.
See you later. Peace.